Welcome to our unit on set. So, what is a set? A set is anything physical on stage that creates the atmosphere and the setting of the play. Walls are set. Trees on stage are set. Heck, you can even have sets where there are cars driven onto the stage. That is part of the set. Now, lighting also happens on stage and can create atmosphere and mood and where the performers are or the characters are in a play, but that is lighting. So anything that's set has to be physical. You have to be able to touch it, whether that's curtains or flats or even the stage floor. Now, in order to have set, you have to have someone to design it, and that is called a set designer. But how does one go about being a set designer? Let's see. Your first step when you're a set designer is to read and analyze the play. Now, this is in one step, but there's actually many parts. You end up reading the play around 4 to 5 times. The first time you read it, you just enjoy it. That is your whole job, is to enjoy the play. Now, if you don't enjoy the play, you have to find something that you do like about it. It can be one of the characters, or it can be the theme, or it can be one scene that you think is actually a great scene, or even the music if it's a musical. But find something to enjoy about the set, otherwise, or not the set, but the play. Otherwise, designing the set for the play is going to feel more like a chore or work than pleasure. The second time you read you read the script for the play, you're looking for the big ideas. First, what is the genre of the play? Is it a comedy? Is it a tragedy? Is it a farce? Is it a musical? The genre of the play is going to really affect the kind of set that you design for the play. The next is theme. What is the big idea? What is the story about? If you can come up with one word and then a viewpoint about that word for the theme, that's pretty much the ticket. So for Romeo and Juliet, the one word might be love. And then the theme is pretty subjective at this point. It's however you come up, how you see that one word playing out in the script. So my theme for Juliet might be different than your theme for Romeo and Juliet. My theme would be love makes you do crazy things, right? But somebody else's theme might be love is worth dying for. Like I said, it's subjective. The moral. What is this play trying to teach you? What is the playwright trying to teach the audience through the play? Now, not every play has a moral. Every play does have a theme. That's something you'll have to figure out on your own. Symbolism, especially in regards to the set. Now, some plays, symbolism within the set is cut and dried. It's there for you. For example, in Disgraced, there's a lot of symbolism behind a very specific painting. Some sets, the symbolism you might have to come up with on your own. For example, in Miss Julie, there's this caged bird that Miss Julie is trying to take with her. And the bird ends up being taken out by Miss Julie's lover and has its head cut off. It's a very powerful scene. It is one of the turning points of the story. And you might say, that is really great symbolism for Miss Julie, and I will incorporate that into the set. And then finally, the mood. What is the overall emotion or feeling that the play is trying to convey? And does it change throughout the play? Does the beginning start off really happy and end really sad? Or does it get really exciting in the middle and then end on a really peaceful note? Generally speaking, the most important aspect of mood is the mood that the audience goes away with. So whatever the mood is at the end of the play. Your third read is for the plot. What is the conflict? What is the climax? What is the resolution? And all the little aspects of plot in between. And a simple character analysis. Now, your character analysis isn't as important for set as it is for costumes because you're not dealing with specific characters, you're dealing with the world in which they live. But sometimes your character analysis can be really inspiring. For example, if one of the characters owns the house that the play takes place in, you're going to see a lot of that character's personality in the set, just like Our houses in real life are literal visual representations of who we are. The posters of the musicians and movies that we like are on the walls. Our favorite colors are in the paint. If we really like to be cozy and comfy, that could be reflected in our furniture. If we really, really like movies, maybe the TV is really big, right? Our spaces in which we are the bosses of or the commanders of that space tend to reflect who we are as people. And in that way, the character analysis can be really inspiring for your set design. Your fourth read are the needs of the script. So these are scenic elements such as stairs, doors, furniture, some set dressing, etc., that is explicitly mentioned in the stage directions and the dialogue. So if it says, the sheriff and district attorney travel upstairs to the bedroom, then you probably need some stairs on your set. We care more about the needs expressed in dialogue than in stage direction. For example, if it says that they travel upstairs in the stage direction, but it's never really mentioned that they have to go upstairs in the dialogue, you don't necessarily have to have stairs. Maybe they just go into another room on the ground floor, the bedroom. But if it's in the dialogue, in the lines the characters say, if the sheriff goes, "Come on, district attorney, let's go upstairs to the bedroom," well, then it's really important that you have stairs. Otherwise, the audience is going to be very confused. After you do all your necessary work before you meet with anyone or do anything else, then you meet with the director and the production team. The production team is the stage manager and the costume designer and the lighting designer and the sound designer and the choreographer if there's a choreographer, all the important people that are going to be making big decisions for this production. At your first designer meeting with the director and the production team, you're going to learn the director's artistic vision, what they think the theme is, what is important bits of symbolism for them, the direction they want to go with the show. Now, sometimes their vision clashes with your vision. And guess what? It's the director's vision that is the most important. So it's their vision you'll be following from then on out. Even if you've done an amazing job figuring out your own script analysis, we have to put our pride aside and move on with the director's vision because they are the captain of our ship. You also solidify your script analysis. If you have questions about, an aspect of the script, how many characters are going to be on stage at one time, things like that, now's a good time to ask and to figure out any last little details from your own analysis that you were maybe a little fuzzy on. You finalize your budget and you find out the shop expectations and limitations. Your budget is going to have a huge impact on your set. If you have a really big budget, you can have a big, beautiful, very detailed set. If you have a small budget, then you're going to need to cut back on some things and only keep the essentials. Your budget is basically what decides how cool your set can be, with some exceptions. Now, the shop expectations and limitations are also really important. How many people are going to be working in the scene shop? If you have a lot of people, then you can accomplish a lot and build a lot of things with what your budget can allow. If you're just you, if you are a set shop of one person, which happens sometimes with small productions, you have to be able to design a set that you know that you can accomplish, that you can build by yourself in the time allotted. You also share your first impression design ideas. If you're like, oh, I was really thinking, green for the walls because of this, and I would really like to do green for the walls. Share that with your production team. That way, the costume designer knows not to put any of the lead performers in the exact same green as the walls. Otherwise, they're just going to look like floating heads, right? This is the opportunity for the other designers to give their first impressions and their preliminary design ideas too, so that you can work off of them as well. And then again, just ask pertinent questions of the other designers, of the production team, of the director. Always ask your questions. It's much better for you to ask questions and get your answers and be able to move on than it is to not ask questions and then have a bunch of things that don't work, and it'll just make future meetings really difficult. Step 3, you actually start designing. You start with thumbnails, your little basic sketches, not very detailed, just ideas on paper. And you make a lot of them for every scene. You make several different variations. This is so that you can go back and see what worked and what didn't work and what you can combine together to make more successful. Once you've got your thumbnails down, you pick and choose what you like from each of them. Maybe you like these one's walls, and this one's furniture, and this one's platforms, and you put it all together into a rough draft. Now, once you get your rough draft down, and you'll be having designer production meetings happening throughout this entire process, but once you get your rough drafts down, and they will have a schedule for you of when those are due, you'll meet with the director and you'll talk over your roughs and you'll get them approved. Now, the director could say, I don't actually like those walls. I think we should do this instead. And as the designer, again, it's your job to put your pride to the side and accept that criticism, because at the end of the day, the director is your boss and you need to do what your boss wants. There are very few instances where you can argue your point with the set design. It really depends on who your director is and if they're okay with that sort of thing. It also depends on why you want the walls to be the way they are or the platforms to be the way they are. If it's just because, oh, it would look cool, that's not a real good reason to argue with your director. But if there's a need in the script or if there's something that you feel really strongly about that the script supports, then, you have a little bit more wiggle room. After the director has finalized your roughs, you go ahead and finalize them. Has approved your roughs, you go ahead and you finalize them. You add color and you look for swatches. Swatches are little pieces of fabric or wood or whatever you need. And you put those with your design so that you have an actual small piece of what you're going to be working with. Now, these final drafts are going to go to the director, they're going to go to the performers, and they're going to go to your scenic shop. They go to the director so that the director can reference them for blocking. Let's see, I want this character to sit down, but let's see, let me look at my set design and see where all the places I could have them sit down are. Ooh, I'll have them sit down on this chair right here. So it's really helpful for the director. It's really helpful for the performers too. That way they can see what sort of set they're going to be dealing with. Are they going to have to go up and down a lot of stairs? Are they going to need to figure out how to move amongst a lot of furniture? Or is it the opposite? Do they have a huge area to play with? That'll really inspire some of their acting choices that they can do. So here are some and then they also go to the scenic shop. Now, the scenic shop are those people who are going to actually build this set. So it's really important that they know what they're going to build. So it's really important that your set design looks exactly the way you want it to look, because they're going to make it look like your set design. And if it wasn't the way you wanted it to look, that's on you. So there's some couple of different types of designs. Now, sometimes one sort of design works better than another type, but generally speaking, you do both. And the first one is a rendering. Now, this is an actual painting or drawing or digital drawing of what the set is going to look like from the perspective of the audience. So you can see here to the right, there is an example of a set design. Now, this isn't my set design. This is someone else's. I got it off the internet. But you can see if you were an audience member and you were sitting in the audience and you were looking at the stage, that is what you would see. And usually it's drawn to scale. Now, scale means that, a quarter of an inch on this piece of paper is equal to 1 foot. So if you have something that's 3/4 of an inch is long on paper, it's the equivalent of 3 foot in real life. And it's also drawn in perspective, meaning that it looks three-dimensional. Things that are closer to the front of the stage look bigger than things to the rear of the stage. And there is a whole technique that you use in drawing things in perspective. It's really detailed, but at the end of the day, it gives you a really realistic look on how your set is going to look. Here is another example. Again, not mine, just got it off the internet. So you can see someone actually took a picture, a photograph of the space that they were going to be working in, and then rendered their set over the top of it. And here's another one. This is a digital rendering, meaning they rendered this entire thing in a software such as Photoshop or Premiere. Digital rendering is becoming a really big thing right now. A lot of people, a lot of designers are going digital from the traditional drawing on paper and painting on paper. So if you have the opportunity to learn how to digitally render, I would highly suggest taking that opportunity. The other type of design you can do is called a scale model or a model box. This is actually recreating the set in miniature form in a three-dimensional way. So you can see here this picture on the right, there's a tiny little wagon there, and there really is some flats. Flats, by the way, are what we call walls. Walls are made out of flats. There in the back, and there's a really small little cannon. Now, these are also made to scale. So if we measured out that wagon, it would be a perfect miniature of the actual wagon. So again, if it's in 1/4-inch scale, and it's, 2 inches long, then it would actually be 8 feet long in real life. Because a 1/4 of an inch would equal a foot. There are 8 feet, 8 1/4 inches, and 8 1/4 inches in 2 inches, and therefore you would make it 8 foot. There's a lot of math involved in scale. But this is really helpful for directors who really need to think in 3 dimensions, especially if it's for a musical or a lot of blocking. That way they can say, oh, there really is space between this wagon and the back wall. I can definitely fit the number of people that I need to fit in there. Or, oh, there's this clothesline right in the middle of the set. So I'm going to have to remember that my performers are going to have to duck down so that they don't, get caught up in the clothesline around their necks. Three-dimensional scale models are really helpful in a lot of ways. Most directors prefer them over renderings if you're only going to do one or the other. This is an example of a scale model for the Broadway version of Wicked, if you know that play. You can see in this one, it actually does have moving parts. Those little pieces of moving flat here and here actually do move on that little model to show how they would move in real life. Here's another scale model. You can see everything is absolutely perfect. It looks exactly like how it would look. It's just really, really tiny, almost like a doll's house. Now, after you've finished with your final designs, you have to create your technical drawings. Now, your technical drawings, sometimes they're called elevations or blueprints. Now, these are very detailed, they are exact, they are in perfect scale, and they are exactly how the set will be built. You give them to your scene shot foreman or your scene shot manager, and whatever is on those is exactly how your set's going to be built. So if it says that one wall is 8 foot long by 8 foot tall, then that wall that they build will be exactly 8 foot long and 8 foot tall. This means that you, as the designer, have to be incredibly meticulous about your measurements, because whatever you have on that paper is how it's going to come out. And so if you make a mistake and you say, oh, it's actually 9 foot long and 8 foot tall, or if your scale comes out funny and you meant to do 1/4-inch scale, but really you did 5/8 inch scale instead, but you said it was 1/4-inch scale, that wall is going to be much, much too long. It's not going to fit your space. Everything's going to be wacky. You're going to have used way more materials and manpower than you needed. So you might go over budget. You might go over time since they have to fix it and go back and make it the correct length. Um, so this part of the design process for designers is really, really important. So some things you'll do elevations of are walls, their height, their width, how you want them constructed. Do you want them constructed out of 2x4s and 1/4 inch plywood? Do you want them constructed out of 1x3s and 1/2 inch plywood? How do you want them painted exactly? Not just, oh, put trees on them. No, your scenic painters, your scenic charge artists need to know exactly what kind of trees. They need to know how tall the trees are supposed to be. They need to know what colors you want the trees painted. Super, super detailed stuff. These can be platforms. How tall do you want them? Do you want stairs that go up to them? If you do want stairs that go up to them, what height do you want each individual stair? How long do you want the stairs to be? How wide do you want the stairs and the platforms? What sort of depth? Is it closed or is it open? Can we see underneath the platform or can we not? And again, how do you want it painted or treated? Any mechanical or special effects machinery. We want the schematics of those. Again, height, depth, width. Where are they placed? How are they made? What do they do? Do you want an elevator door that actually opens like an elevator door? If so, you're going to have to design exactly where you want the mechanics of that door to go. And then any furniture, if that furniture is going to be constructed by the scene shop. Now, if you already know that you have the couch that you want to use, you don't need to do the technical drawings for that couch because it's already going to be built, it's already going to be used. But if you want the scene shop to build a couch, then you have to do all the technical drawings for that couch. So here's a really blurry version of a wall elevation, so a wall technical drawing. If it wasn't so blurry, you'd be able to see the notes for exactly how long they are and how tall and what they're made out of. You can see these are very precise. There's no eraser marks, there's no wobbly lines. Everything's done with nice straight lines with precision, which is what you need to do for technical drawings. Here is a technical drawing of the back of some flats. Now, like I said, flats are what we create walls out of. So each one of these, here is one, a flat, and here is a flat, and here is a flat, and here is a flat, a very small flat. And here is a flat. And when we put them all together, they make a wall with a doorway in them. But this is from the back, so you can see exactly where the boards go to create the structure of the flat, and then those spaces in between would be covered either with a hard cover like plywood or door skin, or a soft cover like the fabric muslin, which is a basic weaved cotton fabric that we use for flats a lot. Finally, once you've got the schematics, the elevations all done, the technical drawings, you actually work with the scene shop staff to create your design, to actually get it on stage as a real set. So you have your scene shop foreman or scene shop manager. They're in charge of scheduling the build, so what's going to be built when and by whom, and then supervising all the other workers. You have carpenters. Now they're in charge of building walls, platforms, furniture, basically anything that's made out of wood. That's where your carpenters come in. Welders do the same thing, but they're everything out of metal. Now, we don't normally build walls and furniture out of metal, but they do build scaffolding for platforms. If you have really heavy walls or things that really go up high into the loft space of the theater, they'll build scaffolding and support systems for those. You have your scenic charge artists. Now they paint the set. I was a scenic charge artist, and most of the time I was just painting wood to look like other wood, or to look like marble, or to look like, I don't know, brick. just painting wood to look like all the things, including other wood. Set dressers, they locate and acquire exterior and interior design elements such as curtains and decorations to hang on the walls or to put on tables or in bookshelves. Soft goods such as pillows, blankets, especially for like indoor type sets, potted plants for outside or inside, basically anything small enough to carry. Now, they're not in charge of big things like countertops or fireplaces or anything like that. But anything used, sort of like we think of interior decorating, that's what your set dressers are for. And then you have your props master. Now, your props master makes set and handheld props. I was a props master for several shows, and mostly what I did was write old-fashioned looking letters. I wrote so many letters. Um, but they can also create things like lamps or torches or phones, or if you have a play in which someone hits someone else over the head with a bottle in a fight, they make your breakaway bottles, so bottles that will break and not hurt the performer whose head is getting smashed with them. They are really important to your shop work. And this last slide is a picture of a costume shop at a university. You can see that it's incredibly organized. You can see where everything's held. You can see places where people can work. It's important to know your or your scene shop, rather. I'm sorry, your scene shop. It's important to know who the people are who are working in your scene shop because they are the people who make the magic come to life. I hope this has been helpful for you. Please let me know if you have any questions.